Welcome to a half hour of Mind Webs. Short stories from the worlds of speculative fiction.
All right, we're going to talk about Mind Webs. So we listen to all of these stories on Mind Webs. He has the guy who made this out of University of Wisconsin, I believe. His name was Michael Hanson. And basically he did this program, which was sort of like a spooky. He read science fiction and horror mostly, and just read the stories. It's kind of like like an audiobook, but slightly different as well in that, you know, they're short stories, obviously. There's music added in. Sometimes there's like other voices, like in the number you have reached, they used a woman's voice for the Justine character. And yeah, I just really love these ever since Glenn introduced these to me. And we got to get with the origin story for you, Glenn, how you found out about this program.
It's still spooky to me, man. So we're in like a really kind of tough time. We're having a tough time. Had a loss in the family and stuff. And I was at work. We were doing construction in this guy's neighborhood. All of a sudden, this guy comes out, fedora, long white hair.
The Undertaker.
Old school nerd. Just old school nerd. Short guy. Like one of those little wispy, like token men, you know, like, and he comes out and he's just like chit chatting. He goes, "So what are you guys doing out here?" And we're talking and stuff. And all of a sudden, like books came up, and I was, you know, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm one of the guys who wears an orange vest that knows about books. You know, it doesn't happen often. And we started talking about sci-fi, and I forget what I had read. What I was talking about today. I think maybe you, Bick. We were just talking about like Philip K. Dick or something. He goes, "Hey, do you listen to Mind Webs?" I said, I've never heard of that. What is that? He was asking me, how do you get through your day? So I said, well, I got my earpiece in. I either listen to a podcast or I like to listen to audiobooks. He goes, "Oh, you listen to Mind Webs?" He's like, "You like sci-fi?" I said, "Absolutely." And this guy goes, "Well, it's on the internet. You know, it's not like on like Apple or something." He's like, "Hold on one second." He runs back into his house, writes the HTTP URL down on a Post-it note and gives it to me. And he's like, "Don't listen to him all at once. He's never making them again. This guy died." And his wife dropped the archive on everybody. And it was a guy that did public radio, and it was stuff that would air in University of Wisconsin radio, but he reads everybody's, like he gets like kind of in the weeds with some of these sci-fi writers. It's not all just like the big hitters. Like he really read a lot. And I no joke, like the next day I put a bunch on. And I was like, again, looking for something to escape with too a little bit, because we're just having a tough time. And I put them on, and we were still in his neighborhood. I told the guy, I was like, "Thank you. This is like fantastic." But it was such a chance thing. And if people listen to Gain of Fiction, a lot of my interludes on there are me with musical backgrounds reading over there. That's because of Michael Hanson. Like that's, he does that a lot. There's like this really cool, like Moog, or even just like ambient sounds happening in the background. Sometimes he'll play like Pink Floyd or something underneath there, which I use a lot. And like Repent Harlequin, the Harlan Ellison story he has on there, and it's real. He gets real goofy sometimes. He'll make it a whole student play, which, you know, the best stories are when it's Michael by himself.
Yeah, I agree.
He has just such an insane, like, that voice doesn't exist anymore. By the way, that full, just like silky but like masculine voice,
really
like that
deep,
is just of that generation. That's Rod Serling, Art Bell, like these guys. Like there's something with, maybe the receipt touching thing is real, because none of us can do that anymore. And it's a huge inspiration to me. Like I said, I have the 9 gigabyte Internet Archive downloaded, and I never want to put it on my hard drive. It's on my hard drive. It's copied on there, but like I never want to take it off my computer, though I could use the space, but it's there, and I listen to it all the time. So if anybody, you know, what we were talking about here, listen to these stories on there. It's 90 minutes of a work shift that you could listen to these. And there's so many good ones on there. I think one of the Brian Aldiss, he does some Brian Aldiss. The first one on there is the Carcinoma Angel, which is a really weird story. I forget who it's by.
Norman Spinrad. And I found a Norman Spinrad book in a little library the other day. I'd never heard of this guy. And then I recognized the name just from the like Mind Webs. And I was like, whoa. So great. It was like something about the man from the jungle or something like that.
And that's a weird ass story about cancer. And so it's like a crazy ass story. Like he really gets out there. And I think Michael Hanson narrated a few Dean Koontz novels as well.
Yeah.
So he did parlay this into like, big time stuff. So huge inspiration to me. Just Matt up there with Art Bell.
Yeah. How far along were you in Game of Fiction do you remember when you came across this?
I don't know.
Because I feel like I can see where the inspiration started to happen. Like maybe.
So the reading started, I remember, with the Cold 6000 by James Elroy because I wanted to do the tape recorder filter voice record thing as though like J. Edgar Hoover FBI tapes. I then said, I think this was pre-Gain of Fiction that I listened to this. I'm pretty sure. Right. But I didn't implement it till that, because I just was like, is that what people want to see? But I was like, I figure like if people aren't reading these books, it'd be cool to like have samples of reading to be like, in there. And I would try to theme it, try to pick music that I think fits with it or something. And these people, like Michael Hanson, like this is just like something he would do. And it was a half-hour block. I don't know what time of day it was aired. I couldn't find that information, but I love to picture stoned driving at night.
Yes.
Coming home from a swing shift, maybe like a late restaurant shift or something. And you're kind of like the first 5 minutes of an X-Files before something happens. Like you're the guy like, I'm fucked up, like driving, like I hope I don't see something crazy. And I feel like you're listening to Mind Webs when that happened. The intro music. Weird bad iconic timing belt squealing on a car, and then boom, Mind Webs.
It's like the late '80s, like horror VHS trailer sound.
Yeah. We just did that. We nailed it, by the way. That was exactly what it was. That was great. But, it's the best part. It literally, you never skip that. You know how when you watch a show on Netflix and it's like skip the intro, you never skip the intro on a Michael Hanson.
Yeah. It's like lizard brain stuff. Like you just cannot skip it. Like
it's just so tight.
It hits you there. Just reading on radio. I think it actually even came about because he needed to fill 30 minutes of air and was like, I'll just read a short story. And that's the origin story of it from what I can see.
That sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I love when stuff like that happens, like, almost accidental. And now this giant archive that is limited. So it's not going to be around for like, you can't continue it. So I just love that it's sort of finite as well. It makes them all the more beautiful. I think that there's these stories out there that you can read. And also, like you said, because of his voice, and more because of his voice than the production. The production is amazing, but he is so good at narrating these stories. Not just because of his voice, his performance. He understands the story as well. Have you ever listened to something, someone narrating something, and you can tell that they don't even know what the words they're saying actually mean because they're not like putting the right emphasis on this or that. They're just like reading from a script. Like he really, you can tell he read these stories like 3 or 4 times at least before he did the performance of them. And that's what's so great about it.
100%.
Yeah.
He was just, I mean, he's a big time factor in Madison, Wisconsin. I mean, they love, I mean, he was a drummer, like a jazz show host. I mean, he just really, man, I just love the idea of like having that, like, another thing that doesn't really exist anymore is like that, like localized career, that like local hero. I just feel like you have to kind of you have to become national, you have to become global, you have to become federal in a way. Like you have to, you can't just like be popular in one area anymore. So I just love that this guy was just like hiding for many years, and we're only getting the archive of this, which thank God for his wife and for getting all these out there. And he was a true radio guy, because I studied radio in college, and they tell you to record everything. Every time you do, you put, we used to put SD cards in. I used to have to put my own SD card in there, and that was required to record your own show. And you could tell he did that, right? And you look at the pictures of him. He's got the fedora on. I mean, he's violating every stereotype, but it just adds to the legend. I mean, it's just there's an article, channel3000.com. It's a Madison, Wisconsin magazine, And it's just like, they say he has a romantic jazz voice, absolutely true, but he's able to do these inflections. And like you said, Matt, like understanding what's on the page and understanding that like I don't need to do my Rod Serling voice here. I can read it in like more the straight kind of way. And then also he has this like ability for tempo, I think is what it is. And that's jazz. I mean, that's jazz, right? Yeah. That's jazz. These were written in rhythm. Kelby Losak talks about it all the time, is writing in a rhythm, right? And that's, I think he reads in a rhythm. And there's nothing worse on an audiobook than a bad narrator. Like if they're not good, I tried to do Killers of the Flower Moon, the audiobook, and it was a woman doing AI like voice. And the Osage County said this and found the body here. Oh, ouch, that hurts. Like, just like kind of like, it was just like, wow, it was horrible. I was like, it was so bad. And I didn't finish it.
Have you guys heard that AI voice that's on all like the TikToks and the Instagram reel? Like because my partner's always looking at this shit. I don't really look, but I hear it and it like freaks me out. I hate how it's like,
I don't like it at
how
all.
it kind of tries to make it more personable and human, but it just sounds even more fake and tinny because of that. They're making
its
a
own
cupcake.
meme now.
Yeah.
My schnauzer does the weirdest things when I leave the house.
Yeah.
Like...
I always get them on YouTube. I'll like go to watch like a yoga video and then this like really annoying thing, and it's always about like finance or something like that, just with the AI voice reading it out.
Again, and
do you subscribe to too many things? This is how you delete them. Yeah.
and again, that's like there's no skepticism, like we were saying before about all this shit. It's like it's screechy and annoying, and people just let it wash over them. And I'm just like, is there something wrong with us that we notice this? Like, or is it the world?
It's got to be the world. It can't be us.
Do you like the idea? I don't know if you guys like to kind of mythologize about people like this. I mythologize about Michael Hanson going to a Madison kind of like deli that has like 3 beers on tap, and like the guy knows him, and Michael Hanson, like he just like orders like a beer and a sandwich or something like that, and like it's free, and the guy's just like, I know who you are, man.
Yes.
You're the man, and I love that level of popularity. Like I said, I don't think it exists anymore. Like there's not that like mid-level kind of the people that know me love me, but I'm not a household name kind of thing. That doesn't really happen anymore. But I just love thinking about this guy just like having a fan base in Wisconsin.
It looks like he was a happy guy too. Like every photo of him, he just radiates like goodness and happiness. So even though he's got this really sonorous voice, like kind of almost, it's almost scary in a way how like deep his voice, like as if it's so deep that it's like intimidating. But like he seems like a really happy guy in all the pictures that we've seen, and that's probably because he was a bit of a local hero around. Was it in Madison? Is that where it was?
Yeah, that's where the university is.
I've been there. I think. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I've heard it's a beautiful part of Wisconsin too. Like it's a really cool college town. But yeah, I mean, just like the fact is, like he's a drummer for all these years, and then radio host, and like you said, like just picking up books and just saying like, okay, I'm just gonna read these. That's kind of like, I mean, that's how I am a little bit. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna start reading books now and talking about it and see how it works, And for him, it's just like, I do love the production because I love thinking about the behind the scenes, almost like this like 70s like network movie, but like on a college campus. Of just like all these moving parts. Everyone's like, there's like nerds, but then there's like people who are just there for credits, and you still have to like get them all to like help you with this for like hours. Because when I did radio for college, you had like an hours sheet, and they would give you, okay, if you edit a song, because we were in the rap department, so you had to basically take a rap song and edit out all the bad words, and you would spin them backwards is how you would edit them. So you would edit like albums, and they'd give you 5 hours per album, however long it took you, but you'd get 5 hours and you'd log that in, and that was like part of your program. So you realize like he's doing this with a lot of people that are just like passing through and creating 169 episodes.
That's amazing.
Of Mind Webs. I don't know how often it aired. I'd imagine once a week. I would imagine this was a once a week thing, like a certain night of the week, kind of like how Art Bell had Dreamland, and like I would imagine it was a special. Otherwise, he would just do his 4-hour block of jazz, I would think. Otherwise, but just the idea that like this was done at like a college campus, and if you were a part of that, and who knows what some of these kids ended up doing? Like, did they value that? Not all of them probably did, but some of them were probably like, this rules. This was
probably life changing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if you like jazz and sci-fi. If you like jazz and sci-fi, can you imagine?
Yeah. And it is really unique because when you get like on the odd, back in the day, sometimes I would listen to a program that we had here on our national broadcaster that would do like fiction and poetry and stuff like that. But the thing is that it was more audio drama sort of stuff. So it would have multi kind of vocal, I guess. Like you would have all the people with their different parts, like a War of the Worlds thing, like
have the
famous
Foley sound effects or whatever.
Yeah,
like
and all that sort of stuff. But this is different. It's just him reading it. And
it's somewhere between an audiobook and an audio play. Kind of thing.
And I like music. That. Yeah, like that.
I love the music. I love the musical arrangements underneath it. Like it's fun. He knows exactly when to be quirky with it, with like bleep bloop 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 bloop. He knows when to do that.
He nailed that too, by the way.
Yeah, and then he knows when to like have the like swooshing like pure moods, underneath, like, and or like a Vangelis kind of. Some of these are like real songs that he's playing because they're especially back in the day. But you could always do this on radio. You weren't selling it, right? So you weren't like selling the product. So I don't know if it's still like this nowadays because you can't do this on YouTube. But on radio, you used to be able to play like whatever you want because you played songs on the radio. So like he had this archive of, I mean, the dude probably had an absolute Rolodex of a brain of like great instrumental breaks to like put underneath there. And that's what I do with our show. Like I just think of these parts. I'm like, God, it'd be nice to read over that. Like, or I'll read a passage in a book and like a sound will just play and I try to find that sound, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm glad I don't know his process because maybe it's not as romantic as I'm making it.
Possibly. I like with music stuff. I just outsource that to Preston now because he has the encyclopedia. He's got the encyclopedia.
Like Charles Manson song. That'll do.
And now he knows Miles Davis' whole discography. He's added a whole chapter to it. So he's added a whole wing to the Fresta building. Yeah,
that's right.
We'll do Sun Ra next. Yeah, he'll lead us through Sun Ra.
We do need a Sun Ra. I love Sun Ra.
That'll be dope. We have used Sun Ra on Getting Lit, actually, 2 Sun Ra songs. One was India because when we were like talking with David and Kelby, we started talking about India and stuff for a while. So it's kind of more of an in joke to use that one. But
Well, I cut a lot of that out. Because you have a government job, so
we get our hands cut off here for that sort of shit.
So in terms of like how it's inspired, I want to get into the weeds actually about what you guys do with your process, because I feel like, Glenn, you have a background, you did a degree in radio and whatever, and was when you decided to start podcasting, was it a learning curve, or is it just because you actually are a really good broadcaster? There's never dead air when Glenn's on. It's always like you always keep it rolling. But like beyond that, like did you get a bit like, because podcasting is kind of different. They say it's the new radio, and it is. It is kind of different because you do have to get your head around different tech and stuff and hosting and all that sort of shit. But like, did you have to relearn all that, or did they teach you that?
Well, we had the benefit of knowing nobody was listening to us, but we both were having a lot of fun. So we were able to, I mean, I don't know. It's like when it's him and I talking, that's never really changed. All right. When we did 100 episodes, not 100, but we did like 50 episodes without anybody ever coming on. So then when we, our first guest, like we have to like, okay, this is different. Like somebody's coming on, and people can sense it when they hear our show. Like it's probably a little bit different when somebody else is on. We try to find guests that like it doesn't take us out of our solo work that we like. And but when we developed like the paywall feed, I was like, well, I want to do all the fun stuff that I remember from radio. I want to do all that. I want to make this like worth people's while. I want to, if they like us, I want them to know that there's like another level. It's not just more audio. It's not a production, because I wish that I could spend more time with each episode and play around with it. But him and I like have a career, or before this, like we were sound junkies. Like we just really wanted like musical breaks, like whether it was for music. RC is not the first venture that we've done, like and so it was bringing that back was fun because it made that whole experience, which I loved and had a lot of fun with, but it made it like, oh, that wasn't just an era, that was actually like a trial period, these times in our 20s where I was like, oh, it was all actually meant to culminate in, my ultimate dream about Rare Candy is to do 3 nights a week live streams, 1 hour current events, 1 hour sports, 1 hour horsing with a guest. Like that's my like a radio show like Art Bell, like a true live stream, because like that's my goal, with all this. And then we still have our paid feed. But I just loved the idea of incorporating music in there and showing people cool things about life, showing people cool things about health, about science, different ways to look about the world, and also fun things to do. Here's a good book to read. Here's a good artist to listen to. You should not have idle time. There are too many things in this world that you haven't heard yet. Or if you think you're too cool for, which is, I think a lot of our music stuff is a lot of stuff people think they're too cool for, or have grown out of and stuff. And I think just adding that audio element to it. And I also want to do audiobooks. So this is like practice for it. I want to do these, that narrate short stories and do these things. So I'll turn it over to Cy, 'cause I'd like to hear his thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do agree. Glenn is a natural for sure. And, I think he was meant to host shit like this for sure. And me, I'm just a schizo PDF guy, and that's my lane. But yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, not to be trite or cliche, but we really just, first of all, we've always been friends, and we just started doing this without giving a fuck about who was listening. And we just had this, it's so weird. We always joke about the guys that set up a podcast and they have like the Rogan red curtains behind them, and it's like a $3,000 camera, and they got the cutaway scenes and no one's listening, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? It's like just horse around. Yeah.
You have more freedom than that right now. Like, use your freedom. Yeah.
Use it. Yeah, exactly. And and so once we did start having guests, it was kind of, and we've had our share of, we've had a few stinkers where it's like,
oh yeah,
whoa, and where we've taken one off. That's a funny story, and that's we've told it before on the podcast. But it's almost like a firewall that we've created where it's like, even if, so like we just try and bring out the best in people that come on, and you could tell, like, sometimes we'll have a guy on and then have him second time on. Maybe it's like a more serious, like a science topic or whatever, and then we try, definitely by that second time, we try and be like, bro, you don't need to be, this isn't like a paid journal or some shit. You can just fuck around with us, and that's what we try and bring out with people.
And that's why I didn't want to have scientists suck, because they don't speculate ever. They'll never speculate. I'm like, I want you to speculate. Like, this is the platform for you to do it. And I get it. There's a credentialism aspect to it that it's not worth a niche podcast. Maybe it's not worth throwing it away on a niche podcast, but otherwise, what are you here for? And
that's how I feel about, like Jonathan Latham, who is my friend, and in real life, and he actually, I think he got his PhD at University of Wisconsin-Madison, by the way.
Go Badgers, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he's the homie, and he's a great guest, and we sorely need him on again. But we'll be like, what do you think about this? And he'll be like, I'm not really an expert in this topic. And we're like, bro, like, everyone, all the science trusters
talk about remote viewing already.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're everyone that's already decided they hate your guts more than you could possibly imagine. And it's like, you're not gonna and it's like, so not even to pick on him, he's great, he's amazing. But I
think once you start to get guests who are like bigger in profile or whatever, I think generally they're always a little bit more circumspect. They don't want to step out of their lane or whatever,
right?
Where it's just like, come on, cook with us. It's that's the vibe of this sort of show, that you want to do. Like, I remember actually, here's a bit of a history with your show. I've been listening to you guys for years. Like, I don't know if you know that, but like I have
I did,
from
but
very
yeah.
early days.
Mhm.
I remember when you went on, I think it was when you went on the Fed Post or something, and you started,
Sure.
Yeah.
or they came on your show, you started talking about the mantis aliens, and people
Yeah.
like got
Yeah.
really
They
like,
hated us.
Oh,
they
yeah,
hated
dude.
it. I loved that. Like, that's
It
when
was
I
the
was,
best.
yeah,
It
I
is,
was just
dude,
like,
come on.
okay, now
Yeah.
now they're elevating, you know, now they get like,
How
they're going
yeah,
somewhere.
sorry.
You know? Like,
That was definitely me. Like I definitely
Yeah.
sorry original Fed Post fans for I mean I'm like I was how are you not when I hear that I'm like not even I almost get offended. Like you don't have to fuck with everything we're saying, but how does that make you mad? Like man, that's like the best thing that's like the best thing
Yeah.
that's the only thing I want to talk about is mantis aliens. All this other like so I don't care about like Kamala Harris and shit. It's like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
No,
man, if
we were just talking about
we need to,
checking
and
out. We were just talking about
yeah,
checking out the other day. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And we could joke publicly, but also more so privately, Glenn and I, about how we do have these periods, almost subconsciously, but sometimes maybe consciously, where we do cull our guests. You know, it happened with like the communist thing, where it's like I don't know where they came from, where it's like well, we never gave any indication that we were like that.
Yeah.
You know, down with that stuff. You know, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. And it's people ascribe things to you that is just not.
That's the problem. Well, that was my problem. Is when
yeah.
when I've said this for a long time. When someone says that you're based, that's a retainer. They put you on.
That's
retainer.
the worst. Yeah,
They're
that's
waiting
the worst.
for you. They're like, okay, let's see the next thing you say better be based. It's like that's not a compliment. I just want people to know that. Like my favorite radio shows growing up were I bought into the person, not the take. Every single time, and that's what I want people to do for us. It's like I don't care if you read the fucking book I'm talking about. I don't care if you listen to the music I'm talking about. You're listening to us talk about things we like. Current events.
It's like Arbel when
like yeah.
Like when Arbel has a guest that he's skeptical on, that's part of the entertainment where he's like, okay, you know, and it's just like that's part of it.
Conversely,
you know?
when he's enthralled in something, it's also that. The worst is when he's like, I need to fill this hour because this guest isn't good. They don't want to talk about anything. I can tell my audience doesn't like it. Now I have to get out of my element. And, you know, I feel like we don't have that happen too often. I can count on two hands probably the amount of times that like where it's just been like I don't know if we don't really need to talk to this person anymore. Like there's just nothing here. It's not a match. That's fine. That's why like people have noticed this in the last, you know, like we like a perfect storm of like popular guest that was down to clown is Anna from Red Scare. Like that was cool. Like we had her on. I was nervous as hell because that's just like talking to somebody that I think is like legitimately a genius, you know, and I but like she got it and she wasn't here. She didn't have credentialism to worry about. It wasn't like anything like her job is to do that. And like we just had a fun time and it was really good. And it's probably our most popular episode, you know, and it's just like that stuff is cool. A lot of times when somebody's like, I hate journalists. Jeremy Lafredo is the only journalist I like, you know, like, and Max Blumenthal. Those are the two guys, the only journalists I give a shit about. Anybody else that's a journalist that wants to come on every single time, I'm like, like most of the time, those people are like those are like the squirrel cage people, dude. Like I just don't know, man. They're sitting there with their typewriter. It's just it never works. They for some reason they experience like post podcast regret, and they don't want to like to let anybody know that they went on your show or anything.
Yeah,
and it's just never the juice is never worth the squeeze. The best people that we have on, we realize, and one of the most affirming things about I'm sorry if I'm talking about this too much.
No, I love it. I want to talk about it. Yeah,
but like the one of the greatest things I think that's ever happened is I'm the numbers guy. I'm the one that checks all the numbers all the time. He is like more business minded than I am. Absolutely. And people don't think that's true. He is more business minded. He's like, he's like, not like I'm like, I want to make money, but like, I'm like, I want people to like it. I'm like, I want people to like it guy. And I think you're more the like, this is how we expand in this time, which I think people think I'm that guy, which is not true. You know, like people think I'm the like grifter, and I'm not saying you're a grifter, but people think I'm the like business guy, and it's not true.
No, I'm like the AI nerd. I'm like I'm legit.
Yes,
I'm legit.
We need to make money.
Yeah, no,
I'm
he's
like correct. And he's correct. Yeah.
And I'm like I'm like the like I could see. like I just wrote a piece semi defending Brian Johnson, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm
fantastic.
and I hit thank you. And then I hit send, and then he immediately went full autistic on like the leg press machine in the gym and Andrew Huber, and I immediately
the son's boner analytics.
So, dude, I'm like, bro, I'm like literally like 24 hours after, and I'm like, why the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And so it's, but the reason I bring that up is like I could see myself, all the AI stuff we make fun of. I'm also like, I could dabble in that, you know, and it's like, so it's kind of like, I could see it getting, like I fall for that.
You're Miles Davis. You're Miles Davis. You're literally Miles Davis. This is gay for the world. I know what to do with it, though. You know, and like that's, I think, exactly.
It's like the forbidden Pandora's box, or like the forbidden fruit, or like that kind of, you know, and yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but I guess what I was saying about the numbers, right? The number. I remember like for a while it was like we were really guest dependent. For a while, it was like if we did a solo episode, it would have a certain amount, and then if we had a guest on, their audience would come in and then add to our certain amount. It felt very fixed, and it felt very squirrel cage, hamster wheel. You know, it's just like like I love doing this. Don't get me wrong, I love doing this, but it's just like why isn't this growing? And then you know, after a while, I don't know when it was. I just started seeing like our solo episodes outperform our guest ones. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
I was like, that's not like, it's just weird in a sense. Like if you had somebody on that has 60,000 followers, like just by logic, you would think that just makes the plays go up, you know, but it wasn't the case. And I was like, at one point you could think like that sucks. But I'm like, no, actually it's good. It's more freedom. Like you and I could just show up, hit record, and just I think people value the chemistry. More
they are the best episodes, definitely.
They are. I think so too. And you know, it's fun. The problem is if you do too many solo things, you repeat yourself a lot of times. So it's like you do have to have that other person come in to maybe add another element and stuff. But I remember when that happened, I was like, oh, this works on its own. I love Joe Rogan to death. He can't do solo episodes. It just can't happen. Nobody would tune in. I mean, people would tune in, but like, no. It's just that's not him. I mean, he has stand up if he wants to do that. Which
exactly.
Yeah.
It's great. Joe, it's great. And that's my favorite part actually. But
monkeys in space. You
murder at the store, dude. You murder.
But exactly. The thing that when you brought up the Anna episode, because I think about, and in my personal life, I kind of with my aunt and her wife, and they had almost kind of a because they were in, I don't want to get like too revealing or whatever. They were in a business that allowed them to make large amount of money for a large time and put them in touch.
It was a sick
business. And they should not have been handling it too. They did not handle it. But it also put them in touch with like kind of the celebrity scene. And I saw them, and you know, this is like a common, you know, this is like a common thing, you know, where you see people kind of fall for that it's almost like a false kind of thing, right? When all of a sudden you only care about what you're like celebrity chasing, and you're kind of on that high, and you're trying to, and then so I've met like a few of those random people, and they're first of all, they're just normal people, and second of all, they're just a lot of times they're unhappy, you know, and sometimes viciously so, or they're addicted to people giving them all this love and stuff. So when you know, and I was thinking about like, okay, we're maybe starting to have like bigger guests and stuff, and I'm just like cautious of that, not having them, but falling for that. And I could just, cause I've seen it in other people. And so with having Anna on or Max Blumenthal or any of these people, it's kind of just, I just like to, you know, and I know Glenn feels the same. We just try and get to know them on a personal level and have, you know, never try and like you never want to try and use anyone as like a little leg up or to try and get like
platform hopping. Is so
platform,
like, it's satanic,
I don't know,
dude. I don't like
and
it.
Not saying like, and obviously we're aspirational, but I think we're both kind of allergic to that. You know, we're just like, it has to, if it's going to happen, it has to be organic. Yeah.
Well, I have it like, dude, it's Howard Rourke at the Rock Quarry. I have a job. You know what I mean? I have a job and I don't particularly like it. Do I want another job that I don't particularly like? And it's even more painful when it's the job you actually want and you don't like it. And that's the way
because then like where do you go from there? Where do you go from there?
Like you look at Theo Von's
down the
podcast,
escalator.
Yes. It's dissension, dude. And you think about like guys like Theo Von are good at it because they're like, this is a guy who works at a taxidermy for a living, and Theo Von's just so good, and he's just like, well, I stuffed a raccoon myself, and he's just like, he really like adds it in. He's good at that. Like I'm pretty good at breaking the ice, and I start to get confident now because I think we actually do have our own like audience now. Like we have a core audience that I love. Yeah, you guys could speak to it. You're on our Discord, like both of you guys, like they're just good people for the most part. Like they're like if you could have a disagreement with them, and it's not a 5-alarm fire or anything. They're just like
which I love.
People. Yeah, they're fantastic. The Discord is like is like a fish tank that you can step away from, dude. Like I don't remember clean it anymore. Yeah, like
you know what I loved the part when like was it Cody in our Discord that was kind of like, hey, am I the only one that kind of like fucks with Israel in here? And which is like a super like hot 5-alarm fire topic for everyone. And we just kind of had like a little discussion about it. And we all realized we're like, none of us give a fuck enough about this to not like, to like, we're all still going to be friends at the end of this.
I told him, I said, I don't lose friends over Israel. I told him that. I was like, I was like just letting you know, like whatever you feel about it, like I might disagree with you. I don't, I won't lose a friend over it. And like what I was getting at, I guess, is like the idea was like, I know that we have our own core audience right now. I actually kind of think subconsciously it's not really something we have to like do or a switch we have to turn on. We kind of play to them a little bit. Like, like it's like the stuff I want them to like it. And then I feel like those people, I feel like there's like 10x that group that exists and I want to reach them. And
put it this way, if we don't, not that we have to cater to those guys, like our friends and our core group and everything. But if we get bigger and we let them down, then it's not worth it.
Exactly.
And like
exactly.
It's like that restaurant you described with the like Italian waiters or whatever.
Exactly. Your regulars, your good regulars, you don't want them to stop coming, man. And like the people, like if we have a bigger guest on, I feel a little more confident now breaking them a little bit in the first 5 minutes. Trying to like make them laugh or saying something or disagreeing with them right away. It's like seeing like kind of like put it like, cause I'm like, no, you're on our show. I understand. Yes. I understand how bigger guest work. You're doing us a favor, technically, kind of, in a way, but also I can't compromise our show, and like, that's when you see these people, these art, to bring it back to Michael Hanson, like Michael Hanson, Art Bell, these people, these like control room guys that are just by themselves. I'm always obsessed with the autonomous artists, the Miles Davis, the Princes, these people. And I'm just like, if you come on their turf, it's to work with them. And you have and as the guest, and when I go on people's shows, I try to make sure I'm like, I listen to your show. I like your show. I want to fit in with your show. I don't want to like do a bit on your show. I don't want to perform on your show. Like I want people to know that like you're coming on our show to like do an episode of Rare Candy, not do your thing on our platform. And that's where we're at right now. I think with like this whole like streaming kind of thing is like, oh, I'm bringing this person on and like rolling out the red carpet for them and doing that. It's not really that good of content.
Well, you mentioned streaming before. Like, you're going to start streaming now? Is that going to happen? Or?
No, I know my ultimate. There's no radio stations that like radio stations don't really exist anymore unless you make like Mexican music. Like, so it's not really like. No, it's truly like your favorite radio station becomes a fucking mariachi station. Like it just does.
But you just like that format, is what you're saying.
I would like to, I just know that that's the vehicle you have to do is like some sort of live thing. This is just like a dream, kind of a Philip K. Dick beam, pink Valis beam, that came in. Like, it was just like, it would be sick if we had like a kind of a structured, have a producer. We're still in charge, but like have a producer who runs the show and, kind of just lets you know, hey, you got about 10 minutes left or something, but you do an hour. Are you a slave to that format? No, of course things can bleed over, things happen. There's a human element to it, but like you have a guest, if you could just do 20 minutes with like a great author, what I'm saying, and then spin it in, talk about a little bit of current events and stuff like that is kind of what the best streamers do. But like, I don't know. I just know my ultimate. 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 I just know I don't know who the best streamers are, but I know they do that. They react to like the news or something like that. And then like an hour of just horseplay is what I like. The horseplay hour, dude. I'd lean into it. Horse noises, all that type of stuff. Like I would really lean like real cozy like commuter radio. Yeah. Just like, you know what I mean? Just shit like that. Like it would be sick if we did something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, the podcast still exists, but that's talking about like when we're employed as RC Industries. You know, that's like kind of what I want to do. And that I like, dude, when you look at like Rush Limbaugh's studio with the 2 inkjet printers back there and stuff, like that's so sick to me. Like that, I don't. Podcasters are great, but I like podcasters that know their history of radio.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big problem with a lot of people. I think you want to always, you know, get to the root, even if you don't really enjoy what they do. If you're more of a current person, I like just taking Michael Hanson, Art Bell, like understanding like these people perfected what you're doing right now. It's a different format. It's not the same. You're not going to do it on radio, but like you can take from these people inspiration and do the current model, you know.
I definitely did listening to these. Like it every time I listen to these, I've been like going back and forth. I don't, like the guy said, the nerd guy that introduced you to this, you don't want to listen to it all at once because there's 169 episodes. But you know, I've listened to a Harlan Ellison here, like just authors that I'm aware of.
You could skim it.
I'm excited to sort of just, you know, wade into like some authors I haven't heard of, for instance, via this vehicle, you know, and it is that kind of, he does really have that broadcaster's mind with it, even though it is very much in the, it's a narrative piece, but like it is so tied to its medium, of radio, but it actually does, you know, you could put this up on a podcast and it would work just as fine. Like there is crossover there that I think is really interesting. I also love this masterclass we're doing on podcasting now and where we want to go and all this sort of shit. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, like, you know, like, look, I'll put it this way. Like, I don't write books. I don't make music. I don't do any of these things. This is what I do. There's a lot of people that use podcasts as their auxiliary method of promotion. Comedians, you know, people that do that. Like this is me. Cy writes better than I do. So he can be a writer, and I think he will be a writer. And I would hope, I want that to be all under the umbrella, the all one thing umbrella that we do.
I think I need to start writing sci-fi, PSI.
Yes, you do.
And you need to start reading it for, you know what I mean? But also, you have the ideas and I just need to flesh it. So it's like, it'll be like a full circle, like idea, write,
always
audio record it. I think that's the move for us. You know?
No, that's what I mean. We can become a factory, and it's industries. We've always like jokingly put industries after Rare Candy, but it's kind of is. You know, like it's also not joking.
Just kidding unless, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things where you just, you know, what do they say? Like you lean into the bit a little bit, like you just kind of like, you know, method act and, you know, Heath Ledger Joker situation. Like you just do that, but for something good.
Yeah, I love that this podcast scene is very specific sub scene of podcasting that like is getting to this point where it's not just reacting to things now, like reacting to the current thing or current events or whatever. It's trying to build something. And I think there's like, you know, we're all trying to do that. And I think that is the next play because I got so tired of just listening to people react to the news and like, no disrespect to certain large podcasts such as Red Scare, but I'm just over that. Like, I don't care what's on the docket, you know, like I would rather listen to, you know, you guys talk about Rudolf Steiner or like,
or Target, like going to Target, like that's why
exactly.
Like situational, like science. What's the deal? You know, like I think that's fine if you do it in your own way. You know, like and you brought up Red Scare. I hate when I can tell they don't want to talk about something but feel that they have to. That's the problem. You can hear it in their voice. You can hear it in other people's voices too when they're like, "We have to talk about this." Him and I will like send something like it hits the RC like weird like tuning fork where we're like, we do have to talk about this because it's it's kind of our
with
thing.
You guys, like it's an RC world now, like. because
weird.
it's like,
it is weird how it's all
like,
lining up.
Yeah. So like it's almost like it's built for your show. But yeah, I do think that there like more people are starting. Like you guys, Agitator, TPN, we're all trying to just build something. I think
create culture, which is what all those like podcasts used to always say. Like even like Ben Shapiro is like, the right needs to create culture and stuff like that. But it's like then they don't pay attention to the culture that's being created because it's not like a Hollywood blockbuster movie or something that's about like a Christian who, whatever, like
And this is something I was trying to get at when I was interviewing all these people that I mentioned, including Glenn here, for this piece that I wrote, which editor hasn't got back to me, so I don't know when that's going to be published. But I was trying to get at something there that it's not necessarily a political thing. Like what I love about all of these shows is that, we might make clown on fucking libtards or whatever, but we'll literally read a communist book and think it's good, and like not let that color the enjoyment. But someone like Ben Shapiro or the Daily Wire will be like, oh, John Steinbeck was a communist,
it'll just so annoying.
Who cares?
Like, who was it that did the like dumb review of Blood Meridian? Was it Matt Walsh or something? It was like, I read this book and it's gobbledygook kind of thing.
Big thing.
I hate that shit.
And what you realize is like, okay, why does it like put your thinking cap on, Ben? Realize that like, why don't
it's called a yarmulke.
Good art? Yeah, it's true. It's true. You ever heard that joke, by the way? It's an old school joke. The like, why are Jewish yarmulkes so small?
Because they cost less.
Yeah. Have you seen what they charge for the full hat? I don't know. It's an old school. Like I heard that from like an old New York guy. Like
original Joe's, dude. Yeah, original. Maybe that's what they say.
Your original Joe's waiter would say that to you back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be fine. It would be totally fine. Yeah, he would read the room. He'd understand that we don't. There's no Jewish people at this table, and he would say that. But yeah, like I'm totally with you. I cannot stand the market of like the obtuse, like the kind of like people that act like you're really not seeing the way the world works. You don't understand that you have access to this entire archive of great literature that, again, if you're taking it from a political standpoint, like liberals don't care about any of this old literature, old film, any of this stuff. Like they don't care. In fact, it doesn't really help them to go revisit it. So you can talk about it and in a fun way and not in this like kind of gatekeepery ass way and let people know. Like I did 3 hours on John Cassavetes the other night. It's not out yet, but like I just did it. I'm like, it's not something everybody talks about, and it's not something that everyone just puts on for a comfort film and stuff. But I'm understanding that people like, me can like watch these things and glean something from it. And the freedom that people have, there's this weird natural way. Like when you first start a podcast, it's funny. You're always most reserved when you first start it. Like when you first start it, nobody's listening, but you're like scared of saying things. Right. And then as you get bigger, you want to say more things. It's weird. I don't understand how it works. Like it should be the other way around, right? Like I was listening the other day, I was listening to Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. Huge fan. They had this guy Drewski on, who's like this black comedian, very funny, but like he's just like you can tell he's at like the pinnacle right now. He's every joke. He's like they'll tell a funny joke. He has a show. He's doing like his own like flavor of love right now. This guy like, and it seems kind of funny. And like women are fighting each other on it and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's tight. Like that just sounds kind of good. And like Shane makes a joke and he's like, sounds like you're doing like a Diddy thing, like or R. Kelly or like Diddy things. Oh, no. I am like not doing that. And like he's going on like a comedy podcast and the guy goes, and then he's like, and then he goes, so all these women are over 21. And Shane says that. And the guy goes, yeah, they're over 20. He goes, that sucks. Like he says it like that. And like the guy's like, I regret. And he's like doing the laughing thing. He's like, why did I come on here? And they're like, we can edit. He's like, oh, you don't have to. I'm like, oh, I never want to be trapped in that ever.
Yeah.
Like that is such a fun, organic conversation that had all of these like lawyers hovering around it. And I was like, oh my gosh, no thanks.
Yeah, the lawyer thing is crazy.
Yeah, it is funny that like you just say what you think and more people listen. Like it's because
you have to be willing to you have to be willing to sound retarded to do this.
Exactly.
And it's like no one else does this. That's why it is kind of not saying that we're some persecuted class or whatever whatsoever. But it's like in a normal job, you don't have all your craziest, like most subconscious stream of conscious thoughts spread out into the ether kind of thing, and it is it's something,
and also like we didn't meet as anons on Twitter, right? Like, so it's like I can't lie to you about what I was 20 years ago. And there's also that kind of like, there's a vulnerability to that. There's kind of this kind of like camaraderie that comes with that, I guess, that where it's like, okay, like, you know who I am, I know who you are. There's literally podcasts where people don't know who each other are, and they're like, it's
so weird.
They have chemistry, I guess. And like there's like chemistry that's there, but it's just what I found out, and it's not like something you find out, you just kind of big brain it at first, but I was like, oh no, people buy in because him and I are cool with each other, and it's fun, and and it's a journey, and that's like those are the people that stay around. Those aren't the people that hop in and out. They're like, oh, that's
like,
topic based.
Yeah, and I'll never have to pretend that I didn't vote for Bernie Sanders in the primary in 2016.
We don't have to,
and it's like, and I don't regret that. What I'm proud of is never having, not to make it all political or whatever, but it seems like that's all this. If you do find each other on ons, there's an expiration date on that shit, like a 4-year cycle, it's like, what I am proud of is I literally never had TDS. Like I was like, oh, Bernie lost, whatever. And then like Trump won, and everyone freaked out. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys like care so much about this shit? It's like, stop. And but anyway, not to veer off in that direction. But yeah, I think that's the point. It's like, are we evolving or not? Are we growing? I think a big thing is like, I see a lot of the more conservative people being like, hey, factory farming's fucked up lately. I'm like, that's good. Like, that's like, we need, like, I think we should encourage that. And then all I guess I'm just thinking about all the, have you seen that kind of,
like Anna retweeted something, and then there's like libertarians jumping on it, being like, well, that's how the free market works. The pigs have to be tortured. You don't understand economics.
Or dirtbag leftists are like, oh, great, Anna's talking about this, you fucking ghoul, and your kid dies. It's like, whoa, dude, what the fuck?
They just immediately talk
totally
about a child.
And they'll project certain things, and like, like you'll find if children die, but not it's like, wow, what? Like, it's a mother, and like, and it's just, to me, it's not that hard. None of this stuff is that hard if you're good at it, and that's like, writing is the same way. I know that it's not something that comes natural to me. Like, it's not, it's every once in a while, maybe, but like, it's not something that comes natural to me. So I don't do it that much. But if you're good at it, you're fine. It's going to be okay. Like, you just have to you have to trust the process. You have to just keep going, and don't walk up the escalator. It's fine. It sounds at first, it's, that doesn't seem like it's going right, but don't just like, you can tell there's certain podcasters that get trapped in a little bit of a ghetto, that they can't get out of. And they're watching this money thing go up and down, and it's tough. It's like a hamster thing. You just, whatever, you guys have a paywall thing. We have it too. It's kind of like whatever appears in your little hamster dish is what you get for the month. It's kind of interesting. People hop in, people hop out. I made a rule to not look at exit reviews. I don't know why Substack even offers it, to be honest, but like, it just says like, I know that they're there when people unsubscribe. I won't read it because I know what we're doing is sick, and it's what we want to do. So I don't really want, and there's no guarantee that if we appease that person, they'd hop back in and start paying again.
I think there's a guarantee the other direction that they won't.
Yeah, they get off on you reading that, and like that it got to you, and it's like,
if only you could send a reply just being like, not reading that shit.
The way it is if this works, it's going to work the way we want it to. If it doesn't work, then it's just a fun thing that we do.
Yeah, the audience. The audience stuff it's very different. Bringing it back to Michael Hanson, like, it's very different to his day, where the audience was
right.
You don't have that immediate like feedback of the audience and all the numbers and stuff. But you
kept your radio. You had people that just kept their radio on, let's say 97.3.
Yeah.
Wisconsin. That was on there, and you had a loyal audience because of that radio station. This is a completely different thing. Yeah.
It is a completely different thing, but I think you've got to act like the Michael Hanson guy in the room, who, like, even though it's a completely different context, you've still got to act that way, like, and that's how you have to produce your broadcast, your program. I think that's a great it's a great message to take home for anyone who wants to start podcasting. Anything else that we wanted to say about Mindwebs and Michael Hanson?
No, I love him, and everybody should listen. It's on Internet Archive. Download it too, because you just never know about Internet Archive. So just download it, keep it on a hard drive somewhere. It's magnificent. I mean, like I said, I'm always conscious of like parents who like us, you know, and they can't necessarily just read like big novels. So I do want to get into more short story stuff as part of Gain of Fiction, and we are. There's going to be more short works and stuff that people can like listen to on YouTube or something like that, and kind of follow along if they want to. And he's the perfect guy to do that. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot. Take it on a walk with you. Like, say if you're a parent with a stroller, put that earphones in. The kid with the stroller, you can get 2 episodes of Mindwebs. You're getting physical activity. Kids getting outdoors. Everyone wins. You know, I know it doesn't always work that way, but like, you know, just that I think that's a really happy medium between picking up a book and listening to like your Audible credit. And like I said, there's people who are on Audible credits. The credit system is oppressive at times. And you know, the free stuff on Audible is not hitting. My mom's reading Ken Follett on audiobook.
Oh, wow.
She loves it, but that was like because she ran out of credits and Ken Follett was free on there, and she was like, you know, she was scrambling, is what I mean. And so you know, you have these Mindwebs things as like in between your Audible credits, and like I said, he's picking good works of stuff. It's not like University of Wisconsin like lame college kid sci-fi. Like it's like these are real heavy hitters. So I will always sing the praises of Michael Hanson. And R.I.P. died in 2019, which so did the world. You know, but what we have right now that we're rising back from, this is a new society that we're building.
Got a lot of good podcasts out of that period.
Yeah.
So
we did. We had this interim 4-year period. Now we're in AD right now. AD can still be sick though. You know, it can still be sick. I'm not blackpilling, but like Michael Hanson died when the world died. So
well, now we got to build shit.
We do. Yeah. The world's exactly.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's like sort of talking shit about AI, but this is like the first time I've thought of like an actual use I would have for AI is to like, if I could just take any short story and get it to generate a Mindwebs sounding like short story.
That's amazing. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Surely it's not that far off being able to do that.
Yeah. At least like it could like pick some good music to put underneath it. You know, it's really again, cozy gets overused. Cozy kind of means like boring, but that's my friend. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Boring, but that's my friend.
Have you ever heard of that? I've noticed that, by the way. Like when you get a compliment something's cozy, it's like, okay, I get it. You wasn't that entertaining, but you like us. You know, I'm just saying, put that in your mind. You know, that's kind of what that means, but it is cozy. Mindwebs is cozy. It is nice. Like you could sit back, you know, I just picture like, you know, you're like a dad in like 1976 or something, and you're you know 2 fingers of scotch in the glass. You got your like man cave sequestered from the kids. You know, you're smoking in your room, and you got your stack of Playboys or something like that, and you throw on Mindwebs. You know what I mean? Like that's like your other thing. Like you're not being naughty in your little cave. You're listening to Mindwebs, but like it's kind of this your own world.
Yeah, it's great.
What other Mindweb stories by other authors did you guys like? Because I listen to a fair few of them.
I love that Spinrad one, like you're saying, that first one. I like his Harrison Bergeron's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
That's one of his best productions.
Pain God by Harlan Ellison.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yes,
great.
Pain God is great. Gosh, man, I'd have to look back at some more. I listened to a lot about a couple of years ago, and I want to revisit. That's another thing too, is they have replay value too. Like they're not like it's not one time and throw it away. You can. Gosh, there was one Ray Bradbury story about floating in space that was really good. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Ray Bradbury story in there about an astronaut getting his, like, you know, another kind of tropish thing is like my life support's cut off and I'm floating in space and my life's flashing before eyes. But it's Ray Bradbury, the guy's a master. So that one's really good too. So yeah, I like how it's like referred to at the start of it, like as speculative fiction. Yeah, because it's not all like science fiction. Like sometimes they're not. Like one I really liked that it wasn't even at all read by Michael Hanson. It was like a female narrator, but like it actually worked. It was like an Ursula K. Le Guin one called April in Paris.
I reckon check that one out because it was like
Okay.
it's like a really nice story. It's kind of the message is about like overcoming loneliness, but it's like got like mystical alchemical things going on and like
Amazing.
yeah, I've been getting into Ursula lately, so I was like thought that one was really cool.
I heard she's one of the best. I haven't read any of her stuff.
She's really good. Her stories are really amazing.
She lived in Berkeley, Bay Area for a long time. Yeah.
I did a fun episode with JDO on Ursula.
Yes, I listened to it. I think that was probably yeah. No, she's great. And I think Art of Darkness did Ursula Le Guin.
Yeah.
So like there is good content out there about it. I listened to both of those.
She's a communist or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Something
and
like
again,
that.
like
Yes.
Berkeley communist was just like cool.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, back then, like people just don't realize that was just cool to do back then, and people just leaned into it forever because again, if you're making a bunch of money being a Berkeley communist, why not?
Just it's the American way to be a communist and make heaps of money.
Yeah, where you just have like short Joan Baez haircut, like late career Joan Baez haircut, and you just in like shawls and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us today, guys.
Sure.
It's
Always.
such a unique pleasure to have you both on. For once, I had Glenn on first last time, but great to have you both on. And what's happening at Rare Candy that we can look forward to? They've not already spoiled.
I don't know when is this are you sitting on
Pretty much
this?
straight away. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Miles Davis will be either if not tomorrow then Monday. And like I said, a big John Cassavetes thing with my buddy from Darius from 8 Plates.
Oh my god, that guy's so funny. I love his podcast.
He thinks he sucks, and
he's
he's all over the place. No, he's hysterical, and he knows how to push my buttons. That's what I like about him.
Yeah.
He knows how to get me fired up, and he's not scared to, which is what I like about it. So we did a lot. He's a big Cassavetes guy, so he's like freaking out because he's like real conscious. Like, are you going to edit this? I'm like, no, you're incredible. What are you talking about? He's like 24-year-old kid, amazing guy. So we have that coming up. The Day of the Jackal starring Matt Fresta. I almost called him Mark. I don't know why I called him Mark.
Mark Fresta.
One of you guys have to become Mark. You can't have two Matts. Yeah.
Well, one of us be
just
Matthew
rock, paper,
or
scissors.
something.
Just a rock paper,
I can
scissors.
be M. David Fresta. I could do the JDO.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Dude, M period is powerful though.
Yeah.
M period, yeah. It's like French almost.
Yeah.
That's
Monsieur
awesome.
Fresta.
Yeah. Oh,
Michelle Fresta.
Michelle
Michelle Fresta would be sick, dude. You just get a little beret.
All right, I have to fill out the forms to change my name.
Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So
Just rant about Islam in Europe and shit.
He's already done that, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That'll be a fun. We're doing the Day of the Jackal, which is nobody's watching the Peacock series right now. It's nobody in our sphere. It's
surprisingly
awesome.
good. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Okay.
If I saw a trailer for that with like Eddie Redmayne and a black chick, I'd be like, no thanks. But the
It's
show
woke
actually,
as fuck. Yeah, it's amazing though. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, we'll get into
Did
it
you
tomorrow.
finish it? Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Oh, it rules, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I was like, it's not the book, but it like Peacock just like. I don't know what I was like. Who did you hire for like? Who made this? This is like an awesome show, and the movie's also incredible too. So like,
do you like the book yet, or you still hate it?
I didn't like the book, but
spoilers.
no, I think I might have had fatigue. I might have had a little fatigue.
Yeah,
like,
it's probably
I know
100 pages too long, really. But
yeah, it's written by a journalist, so it's just very jourналist. It's like that's just the way it is. But again, that's coming up on there, and then we. Man, I don't know what am I missing anything? There's a few. I mean,
No, I mean it's been Psyops has been a while. In fact, I want both Matts on one.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we need to coordinate on that because I figured. And sorry, Glenn. I felt this way before the series even started. I want to do Convos with God as the last book. So it was a false alarm. So we're just gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
the moment's
I'm
passed.
ready.
We need to circle back to that. So yeah, let's coordinate one. Let's pick one and do it all.
For sure.
All of us, 3 of us, or 4 if Glenn, if you want on that. Yeah. So we'll get that popping.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, rarecandy.substack.com. That's the hub, though, man. That's the hub. Like,
I will link that.
Twitter,
Yeah,
more than anything. So.
I'll link that, and I will link the link to Mindwebs too.
Yes, guys. Yeah, please listen.
Please listen to it. It's great. It's you won't regret it. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
See you, boys.
Sweet.